They say bad blood always betrays you first. In my case, it just taught me how to hit harder. The underground arena smells like concrete, sweat, and the kind of blood that doesn't come out no matter how hard you scrub. The lights above are too bright, too hot, turning every breath into something thick and sharp in my lungs. Each shout from the crowd lands like another shove between my shoulder blades. Across from me stands an alpha who thinks this is already over. I can tell by the way he rolls his shoulders, slow, loose, confident. By the tilt of his head, like he's wondering how long I'll last before I fold. His pheromones spread in the air, heavy and oily, meant to press down, to remind me what I am. An omega. I spit blood onto the concrete and grin at him. That usually pisses them off. My ribs burn when the bell rings. He comes at me hard and fast, like most alphas do. Strength first, intimidation second. His fist clips my jaw. White flashes burst behind my eyes, and the taste of metal floods my mouth. I swallow it back, laughing through bloody teeth. Is that it? I ask. My grandma hits harder. He snarls. Good. Angry alphas make mistakes. Pain crackles through my forearm when I block his next strike. Something pops, maybe a tendon, maybe just my imagination screaming, but the heat under my skin keeps me standing. Adrenaline does that. It makes pain feel distant, like it's happening to someone else. That's why I fight. Not for money, not for the crowd, because when your heart is trying to claw its way out of your chest, there's no room to remember who your father was, or what his name did to mine. I let the alpha think he's winning. I stagger back, shoulders slumping, breath coming too fast. His pheromones spike, dominance, satisfaction, victory already tasted. He reaches for me, sure he's about to end it. That's when I move. I duck low, hook his knee, and slam my elbow into the soft spot just under his ribs. He gasps. I drive my shoulder into his chest and feel bone give. The sound, sharp, wet, unmistakable, thrills the crowd. He goes down hard. The arena explodes. Shouts, screams, money changing hands. I stand over him, chest heaving, hands shaking, not from fear, but from the leftover buzz in my veins. Blood drips from my mouth onto his shirt, dark and sticky. Next time, I murmur, try thinking. They drag him away while I raise my arms, soaking in the heat, the noise, the moment where I'm not prey or problem or someone's cursed inheritance, just a body that refused to fall. That's when I feel it. A weight settles in the room. Not loud, not aggressive, just present, like gravity quietly changing direction. I lift my gaze toward the VIP level. He's standing in shadow, suit jacket open, one hand resting casually at his side. Tall, still, watching me like I'm not a spectacle, but a puzzle that's just proven interesting. Our eyes meet. His pheromones roll out then, not sharp like the other alphas, not suffocating. Cool, controlled, the kind that says power doesn't need to shout. My instincts scream one word. Run. But my feet don't move. Something strange happens instead. The pressure that should crush my spine never lands. No panic, no drop to my knees. My heart is still pounding from the fight, but not because of him. That's new. I wipe my mouth with the back of my hand and tilt my head at him, daring. Always daring. If he's here to claim me, to break me, let him try. He smiles. Just a little. Enough to promise trouble. Then his voice carries down into the arena, smooth and unhurried, slicing cleanly through the noise. That Omega, he says. He's mine. The crowd goes quiet. My pulse stutters, not from fear. From the terrifying electric thought that whatever bad blood runs through me just found something it recognizes. Backstage smells worse than the arena. Bleach tries and fails to cover up sweat, blood, and desperation. The concrete walls are damp. The lights flicker like they're tired of watching people break themselves for entertainment. Metal cages line the corridor, temporary homes for bodies that don't quite belong to themselves. Me included. I'm barely seated on a crate when they clear everyone else out. The noise fades, replaced by the buzz of fluorescent lights and the dull throb. of pain settling into my bones now that the adrenaline's wearing off. My knuckles are swelling fast. Something in my side feels wrong. I prod it carefully and hiss, "Worth it." Footsteps approach, measured, unhurried. I don't have to look to know it's him. "So," I say, staring at the stained floor, "if you're here to give a victory speech, save it. If you're here to threaten me, get in line." He stops a few feet away, close enough that I can feel him. Not physically, but the way alphas, like him, fill space without touching it. "I don't threaten," he says calmly. "I make offers." I finally glance up. Up close, he's worse. Not loud, not posturing. Clean lines, steady eyes, expression neutral in a way that screams control. The kind of alpha who doesn't need to prove anything, because the world already does it for him. "Congrats," I mutter. "You've got the posture of a motivational poster." A pause. Then, a faint huff of amusement. "Lewis," he says, "that makes my spine go rigid." "That's not my name. It's the one you answer to," he replies. "No correction, no argument, just fact. And you fight like someone who's angry enough to forget fear." I push myself to my feet, every movement sharp with protest from my body. "Aren't you lucky?" I say, stepping into his space. "You get ringside seats. Doesn't mean you get a say." His pheromones shift then, not aggressively. Not like the alpha in the ring who tried to drown me in them. This is softer, heavier, like gravity slowly increasing, waiting for my knees to buckle. They don't. I blink once, then grin. "That all you've got?" I ask. Because I was expecting more. For the first time, surprise flickers across his face. Interesting. He studies me more closely now, eyes sharp, calculating. "You should be on the floor." "Yeah," I say cheerfully. "People say that a lot." Something tightens in the air, not anger. Curiosity. He reaches out. I don't think. I don't plan. I bite him. My teeth sink into his wrist through skin and fabric, hard enough to taste salt and copper. He inhales sharply, not in pain but shock, and I feel his muscles tense under my grip. I release him just as fast, heart hammering, instinct screaming that I've just made a fatal mistake. The room goes very still. Slowly, he lifts his arm, examining the bite mark already darkening. A thin line of blood beads at the edge. Then, he laughs. Soft, low, controlled. "What?" I snap, suddenly off balance. "You enjoying this?" He meets my gaze, eyes bright now with something dangerously human. "No," he says. "I'm enjoying you. That's worse. I came here looking for a weapon," he continues calmly. "Someone my clan could use." He lowers his arm, voice quiet but certain. "I think I found something rarer." For the first time, I don't mock him, and that scares me more than any alpha ever has. Han's office sits above the arena like a parasite with a view. From here, you can still hear the echo of the crowd through the floor, distant, muffled. Like the building itself hasn't quite decided whether it's alive or dying. The room is too clean compared to the chaos below. Glass desk, leather chairs, bottles of something expensive that Han never shares. I sit on the edge of a chair like I might bolt at any second. My knuckles throb. My ribs are wrapped too tight, and it's hard to breathe without flinching. Across from me, Han smiles the way men do when they think they already own you. Ezra stands by the window, hands in his pockets, watching the city lights instead of me. That makes it worse. "I don't do long-term relationships," I say. "With alphas or employers." Han chuckles. "You don't get paid enough to be funny." Ezra finally turns. "I'm not here to buy you," he says evenly. "I'm here to offer you protection." I snort before I can stop myself. "From what? Other alphas like you?" A muscle in his jaw tightens. "That's all." "You've attracted attention," he continues. Not all of it friendly. Word travels fast when an omega humiliates an alpha in public. I didn't see him complaining. "He will," Ezra says. "Just not to your face." "No," I say flatly. "Whatever you're selling, I'm not interested." Silence stretches. Not awkward. Heavy. Han sighs like I've disappointed him. He taps a button on his desk, and the wall screen flickers to life. Numbers fill it. Names. Dates. Photos. My stomach drops. That's your tab, Han says casually. Medical fees. Entrance cuts. Fines for damaging property. He grins. You fight like an animal, Louise. Animals are expensive. Ezra watches me now, closely. And those, Han adds, flipping the screen again, are outstanding penalties from 2 rival crews you pissed off last year. Images of men I recognize flash by. Faces that don't forget, don't forgive. My mouth goes dry. They don't wait, Han says. They don't make offers. Someone's already asking which dumpster you bleed into. I clench my fists under the table, nails biting into my palms. The room feels smaller, colder. I hate this part. The part where the illusion of choice evaporates. So, Han says lightly, we sell you. Or you drown. I laugh. It comes out sharp, ugly. You always did have a talent for poetry. Ezra steps forward, not into my space. Close enough. My offer stands, he says. You come under my protection. My name shields you. You fight when you choose, not when you're forced. You get paid. Properly. And the price? I ask, already hating the answer. Association, he replies. Nothing more. I meet his gaze. Search for the lie. Meaning, what? No chains. No collar. No mark. I exhale slowly, disbelief twisting into suspicion. Alphas don't do charity. This isn't charity. His eyes flicker, thoughtful. It's an investment. There it is. I look at the screen again. The debts, the threats, the future narrowing down to a bad end. Humiliation burns hotter than any wound I earned in the ring. Fine, I say, standing despite the protest in my ribs. I'll take your deal. Relief flashes across Han's face. I hold up a finger. But there's a condition. Ezra waits. No marking, I say clearly. Ever. I don't belong to you. I don't belong to anyone. His gaze sharpens. Then, slow nod. Agreed. I don't know why that scares me more. As I leave the office, anger churns in my gut. At Han, at Ezra. At myself. At how easily survival puts a leash around your throat, even when you swear you'll never wear one. Ezra's residence doesn't feel like a home. It feels like a monument. Glass, steel, and pale stone stretch upward in clean, merciless lines. Everything is expensive in a way that refuses warmth. No family photos, no clutter, no signs that anyone lives here for reasons other than duty. Even the air smells filtered, stripped of anything human. I step inside and immediately feel like misplaced furniture. The staff freezes when they notice me. Eyes flick away too quickly. Bodies angle toward exits. One woman drops her gaze entirely, as if looking at me might stain her. Good. Fear at least makes sense. Ezra moves through the space with easy ownership, issuing quiet instructions without ever raising his voice. He doesn't introduce me, doesn't explain, just gestures that I'm to be taken care of, like a package. This will be your room, he says, stopping in front of a door. I wait for rules, curfews, warnings. Nothing comes. If you need anything, he adds, already turning away, ask. And then he leaves. No touch, no scent mark, no territorial claim. The door closes behind him, with a soft click that echoes louder than it should. The room is larger than my entire apartment above the arena. Clean bed, white walls, a window overlooking the city like it's something to be surveyed, not lived in. I stand there, arms folded tight around myself, and laugh quietly. This is how they cage you now, apparently. Dinner arrives untouched. The servant's hands shake when she sets the tray down. She avoids my eyes like I might bite if provoked. I almost tell her I won't. Almost. Instead, I eat alone, sitting on the floor because the bed feels too much like a concession. My body aches in that deep, settling way fights leave behind. Without adrenaline, everything hurts. I welcome it. Pain is honest. Night falls without ceremony. I wait until the lights dim, until the house breathes in unison, silent and watchful. Then I move. The window opens smoothly, too smoothly. The alarm that should scream never does. I slip out into the night, barefoot on cool stone, heart hammering. Freedom is a reflex. I run, down manicured paths, past darkened windows, toward the outer gate where shadows gather thick and promising. A shape peels away from the darkness. Then another. Guards. I stop, muscles taut, ready to fight or die trying. No one moves. Their eyes track me, alert but restrained. Weapons remain lowered. One of them meets my gaze, uncomfortable. Orders, he says quietly. We don't stop you. The words hit harder than a punch. You gonna report this? I ask, breath coming shallow. He hesitates, then shakes his head. You come back or you don't. That's your choice. I stand there, city wind cutting against my skin, suddenly unsure. No chase, no command, no leash. I turn back. The walk feels longer. When I slip back into the house, unnoticed and untouched, my chest tightens in a way I don't understand. Why is he letting me do this? Why does the absence of control feel more dangerous than its presence? I lock my door and lean against it, heart racing, mind louder than any arena crowd. An alpha who doesn't cage his omega isn't mercy. It's a question. And for the first time in a long time, I don't know how to answer it. The medical wing isn't part of the official house. It's buried beneath it. Concrete walls, low ceilings, fluorescent lights that hum like they're nervous. The air smells of antiseptic and old metal, layered over something faintly organic. Blood, skin, heat. A place designed for things that aren't supposed to exist. Mira snaps on a pair of gloves and studies me over the rim of her glasses. You bleed like someone who expects to be hurt, she says. I snort. Occupational hazard. She doesn't smile. Just gestures for me to sit on the table. Mira is a beta, sharp-eyed, precise, unimpressed by alpha posturing or omega dramatics. Her movements are careful but confident as she draws blood, attaches sensors, presses cool metal against my throat and wrists. I hate this part. The stillness. The waiting. So, I mutter, staring at the ceiling. You gonna tell me I'm defective, or do we skip to the part where everyone looks disappointed? Her fingers pause. You're not defective, she says slowly. You're miswired. Well, that's comforting. She hums, distracted, eyes flicking between screens. Numbers scroll. Graphs spike where they shouldn't. Her frown deepens. That's odd. My stomach tightens. Odd how? Your pheromonal output isn't just resistant, she says. It's reactive. Like, it echoes. I turn my head toward her. In English? She hesitates, then exhales through her nose. Alphas push. Omegas receive. That's the model. Except your system doesn't receive. Her gaze sharpens. It pushes back. The room feels colder. That's not a thing. It is for you. She adjusts the scanner, reruns the test. The same result. Your body doesn't just ignore alpha pressure, Mira continues quietly. It responds, adjusts, mimics, almost like... A sound outside the door makes her stop. Footsteps. I lie still as Mira removes the sensors, her expression tightening. Rest, she says, voice suddenly professional. I need to discuss something. She steps outside, door sliding shut with a soft click. I don't move. I listen. Ezra's voice carries through the thin wall, low and controlled. Tell me again. It's rare, Mira says. I've only seen fragments in old research, suppressed studies, classified. What does it mean? It means his system can form an obratnaya sviaz, feedback loop, she says. With alphas, silence stretches, meaning Ezra prompts. Mira's voice drops, meaning if pushed far enough, he could imprint back. My chest tightens. Mark. The word rings in my skull like a warning bell. That shouldn't be possible, Ezra says. It shouldn't. Mira agrees. But he already did something impossible in the ring. Another pause. I won't let him be used, Ezra says firmly. Used. The word lands wrong. Then you need to decide what he is to you. Mira replies. Weapon? Threat? Or partner? Because others will want him once they know. I close my eyes. There it is. The shape of every promise I've ever been offered. The door opens again. Mira steps back in, composed. Done for today, she says. You're free to go. I slide off the table. My legs steady despite the churn inside me. Ezra isn't there. Good. Better this way. As I walk back through the corridors alone, anger coils tight in my gut. Not hot, not explosive. Cold. Controlled. Familiar. They're already labeling me, measuring how useful I can be. Fine. I've learned this lesson before. Hope is a liability. Trust is a delay before impact. If I brace myself now, the hit won't hurt as much later. Better to wait for betrayal than be surprised by it. Bad blood teaches you that early, and it never forgets. The reception is all glass and velvet lies, a private floor sealed off above the city, where clan leaders smile with their teeth and measure each other with their eyes. Soft music hums beneath the low roar of conversations, pheromones layered thick under expensive colognes. Power has a scent. Tonight, it reeks. Ezra walks beside me, not touching, not guiding, just close enough that everyone notices. I can feel their attention the second we step inside. The whispers start immediately. That's him. The Omega. The one from the arena. A resource. I hate how quickly they reduce me to a word. Ezra introduces me without ceremony. No title. No ownership. That alone unsettles them more than a leash would have. Alphas expect proof of control. Marks. Claims. Symbols. Instead, they get space. And me. The first push comes subtle. A senior alpha lets his pheromones slip, flooding the space between us with dominance sharpened like a blade. A test. My muscles tense automatically. Breath hitching. Nothing happens. I stay upright. Calm. A little bored. His smile cracks. Another alpha tries next. Younger. Sloppier. He leans too close, voice dripping false amusement. So this is the special one, he says. Does he bite? Or did you train that out of him? Laughter ripples nearby. I tilt my head. Only when provoked. Ezra doesn't intervene. I feel his attention, sharp and focused. But he lets this play out. The alpha's pheromones spike, heavier now, frustrated. He steps closer, invading my space, trying to force instinct to do what it's always done. My skin prickles, not with fear, with something looking for a way out. Careful, Ezra says mildly. You're embarrassing yourself. That should have ended it. It doesn't. The alpha snarls, losing control, grabbing my arm hard enough to bruise. People gasp. Security shifts but doesn't move. And something inside me answers. I don't think. I don't plan. Heat floods my chest, sharp and electric, racing up my spine and into my throat. My pulse syncs with it, a rhythm I've never felt before. I grab him, not to escape, not to strike. To hold. My scent surges. The room goes dead silent. The alpha stiffens in my grip, eyes going wide as his pheromones shatter, collapsing inward like something pulled too tight and released. He gasps, knees buckling, hands clawing at my sleeve like I'm the only solid thing left. Recognition slams into me a heartbeat too late. Oh no. I let go. He stumbles back, trembling, marked by me. The bond snaps into place like a drawn blade locking. No one breathes. Ezra swears quietly. What did you do? Someone whispers. I stare at my hands, my chest still burning, heart hammering hard enough to bruise my ribs from the inside. I did the impossible. I feel it. The line between us, taut and humming. Power flowing both ways. Not submission. Not dominance. Connection. Fear ripples through the room, sharp and panicked now. They smell it too. The truth. I look up slowly. Every alpha is staring at me differently. Not like prey, like a problem. Like a weapon that just proved it can choose its target. My stomach twists, not with regret. With something dangerously close to satisfaction. I became the thing they fear. And gods help me. I liked how quiet they got when I did. Ezra steps in front of me then, deliberate, blocking their view like a shield. That's enough, he says, voice iron calm. This conversation is over. He looks back at me, eyes searching, not angry, not proud. Concerned, but beneath it, unmistakable and terrifying. Interest. And for the first time, I understand just how badly the world is about to want me, whether I like it or not. The council chamber is designed to make people feel small. High ceilings, dark wood, long table polished to a mirror shine, crowded with alphas who smell like entitlement and old power. I stand at Ezra's side, hands clasped behind my back, jaw tight. I don't miss the way their eyes crawl over me. A viable asset, one of them says, voice smooth with satisfaction. Even more valuable than we anticipated. I bite down on the inside of my cheek. We can neutralize rival clans without open conflict. Another adds. Deploy him selectively. Train him, someone else suggests. Condition. The response. The words stack up, neat and clinical, like they're discussing a serum instead of a person. Ezra's silence stretches dangerously thin. No, he says at last. The room stills. You misunderstand, the eldest counselor says gently. This isn't a suggestion. Ezra straightens. I don't. A murmur ripples around the table. He's unstable. Another alpha argues. Untested. This power could backfire. That's precisely why we need control, says a third. Your sentimentality is clouding your judgment. Ezra's gaze hardens, all warmth stripped away. My judgment, he says evenly, is the only thing standing between you and a civil war you won't survive. Silence crashes down. You would jeopardize the clan, the elder presses for an omega? Ezra doesn't hesitate. I would dismantle the clan before turning him into a weapon. That does it. Voices rise. Accusations fly. Reckless, weak, irresponsible. I stand there, stomach twisting, the familiar burn of being discussed like property crawling under my skin. Ezra doesn't look at me once. Good. If he did, they'd see too much. The meeting ends without resolution. Tension thick enough to choke on. Hours later, night creeps in soft and heavy. I find Ezra on one of the balconies, city lights bleeding gold beneath us. His jacket is gone, tie loosened. The mask cracks, just a little. I lean against the railing, not quite looking at him. So, I say lightly, make your decision already? He turns, surprised. What? You're good at this, I continue. Power, strategy. Using people before they use you. My smile feels brittle. Just say it. It'll hurt less. His expression shifts. Hurt, then something sharper. Say what? How you plan to use me? The words hang between us, heavy and brittle. He steps closer, not crowding me. Just enough to make himself impossible to ignore. I'm not using you, he says quietly. I laugh, too fast. That's cute. His eyes flash. It's the truth. Oh yeah? I shoot back. Then what am I? An accident? A liability you haven't figured out how to dispose of? His jaw tightens. Look at me, he says. I do. Do you think I'd stand in front of the council and risk everything? He asks softly. If you were just a tool. Something in my chest fractures. I swallow. You've already decided, haven't you? Yes. My voice comes out rough. How I'm useful. No. He shakes his head. How to keep you alive. I stare at him. Heartbeat thudding in my ears. You already decided how you're going to use me? I ask. The words tasting like rust. I've decided how I'm going to protect you. He replies. For the first time, I don't have a comeback, and that terrifies me more than the council ever could. I didn't sleep. The room is too quiet for that. Too clean, too far removed from the kind of places where rest comes easy. When the city starts bleeding gray through the windows, I give up and pull on a shirt that doesn't smell like blood and antiseptic. Progress, I suppose. The archives are where ghosts go to pretend they're facts. Ezra doesn't stop me when I ask. Just gives me a key card and a look that says, "Be careful what you find." We descend levels until the air cools and the walls shift from white to stone. The hum of the building fades, replaced by something older. Records, logs, names carved into data and history. My father's file opens faster than I expect. Registered Omega, status, executed, post-treason, cause, complicity in clan subversion. I laugh under my breath. Subtle. The details unwind slowly. Dates, movements, commands coming from the council, orders masked as opportunities. My father hadn't sold the clan. He'd been sent to negotiate with rivals because he was expendable, a test subject. When things went wrong, they needed a scapegoat. I feel the lie settle in my bones, heavy and corrosive. I've lived my whole life under a narrative they set and forgot. Bad blood, I mutter. Funny how blame inherits easier than truth. Ezra stands a few feet away, hands folded, expression carefully blank. Too careful, you knew, I say quietly. I suspected, he admits. I didn't have proof until now. I turn on him. And you didn't tell me. His gaze holds mine. I wasn't sure how. Something sharp flickers across his face then. Not defensiveness. Guilt. He steps toward another terminal, fingers moving with practiced ease. A file opens, not with my family name. With his brother's. The screen fills with reports, requests denied, warnings ignored, meetings postponed under council orders. I scan faster, pulse climbing. They sent him, I say slowly. Ezra nods once, into a mediating role he wasn't equipped for. Then blamed his inexperience when it failed. Let me guess, I add. Posthumous incompetence. A humorless breath leaves him. They were very persuasive. Silence stretches, not uncomfortable, shared. So, I say at last, lowering myself onto a bench. Your brother and my father walk into a trap. Neither of them walks out. That's one hell of a clan bonding exercise. That gets a real huff of laughter out of him, surprised and sharp. It echoes oddly in the archive chamber. For what it's worth, he says quieter now, your father wasn't weak. Yeah, my voice wavers, just barely. He just trusted the wrong people. We stand there, side by side, staring at proof that pain doesn't discriminate, it just collects. I've spent years thinking I was cursed, I admit. Because of him, Ezra shakes his head. You were targeted. So was I. I glance at him. You get how unfair that is, right? He smiles faintly. I became clan head out of guilt. Ah, I say. Classic. The humor doesn't erase the ache, but it softens its edges. For the first time since I arrived, the thought lands gently instead of burning. Maybe this isn't all a setup. Our shoulders brush as we leave the archive. Neither of us steps away. Trust doesn't snap into place. It sees the ground, measures distance, tests weight. But for a moment, just one, it lets itself lean, and that almost feels worse than betrayal ever did. Cold stone bites into my back when I come to. The ceiling arches high above me, carved with symbols so old they've blurred into something almost organic. Candles flicker in iron sconces, their light bending strangely along blood-dark channels etched into the floor. The old ritual hall. Of course they brought me here. My wrists are bound, not with chains, but with something worse. Threads of alpha pheromone, layered and woven, pressing into my skin like invisible wire. It's meant to confuse my instincts, overwhelm them, break me down into something pliable, something owned. A pulse of fear claws up my spine. Real fear. The kind that doesn't care how tough you think you are. Well, I mutter hoarsely, testing the binds. This is new. The council members stand in a half circle, shadows stretching long behind them. Calm. Confident. Like men performing maintenance. You were given freedom, the eldest says. You abused it. I call it creative use, I snap. My throat tightens as the pheromones surge again, heavier this time, crushing down on my lungs. You call it treason. We all cope differently. Pain blooms behind my eyes. My knees threaten to buckle as they pull me upright, forcing me into the center of the pattern carved into the floor. This will be easier if you stop resisting, another alpha says, stepping closer. His scent rolls over me, thick and commanding. Your nature wants guidance. My vision blurs. Instinct screams, submit, submit, submit. And something else answers. Not fear. Anger. Hot. Focused. Sharp as glass. No. Not again. Not ever. I draw in a breath that burns all the way down and feel that strange heat spark in my chest, the same one from the reception, but this time I don't let it explode. I hold it, shape it. Their pressure hits, and I push back. The scent binding my wrists wavers, then snaps like overstretched wire. A shockwave ripples outward, sending two of the counselors stumbling. The candles gutter violently. They stare at me, horror bleeding through their composure. What is he doing? Someone barks. I straighten, heart pounding, breath ragged. But mine. You should have killed me when you had the chance, I say quietly. Because now I know how to do this. One of them lunges. I don't flinch. Then the doors explode open. The sound is visceral. Wood splintering, metal screaming. The wall itself shuddering. Guards scatter as Ezra storms in, eyes blazing. Control stripped down to something raw and lethal. Get away from him, he growls. The council barely has time to protest before chaos erupts. Ezra doesn't fight like a diplomat. He fights like someone who's been holding back for far too long. An alpha grabs me from behind. Instinct kicks in, but this time I choose. I twist, grab his collar, and unleash the feedback loop deliberately. Not a mark, just enough. He collapses, gasping, power draining out of him like air from a punctured lung. Ezra reaches my side, blood on his knuckles, chest heaving. Are you hurt? He demands. No, I say, voice shaking but steady. But they tried. His eyes darken. I gathered as much. Sirens wail somewhere distant. The ritual circle smokes faintly, etched lines cracked and ruined. As Ezra's hand settles at my back, not possessive, just grounding, I realize something terrifying. They tried to break me. Instead, they taught me how to fight back. And next time, I won't wait to be tied down first. The council hall looks smaller without ceremony. No guards lining the walls. No smug confidence in the air. Just fractured power pretending it hasn't already lost. I stand in the center of the room this time. Not at Ezra's side, not behind him. With him. The elders glare like wounded animals. This situation has gone far enough, the eldest says. You've lost control, Ezra. Ezra doesn't raise his voice. He doesn't need to. You're right, he replies. I have, murmurs ripple across the chamber. You violate protocol. You endanger the structure that keeps us alive, another counselor snaps. For an Omega, Ezra finally looks at them the way they deserve to be looked at, without deference, without caution. For a person, he says, and for refusing to become what killed my brother, silence crashes down. Then he does the unthinkable. I step down, Ezra says calmly, as acting head of this council. As executor of its will, gasps, shouts, rage fractures the air. You can't. I can, he cuts in. Because power that has to be protected by chains isn't leadership, it's fear management. He exhales slowly, as if setting something down that's been crushing his ribs. I won't rule like this. My chest tightens. This wasn't the deal. Ezra turns toward me then, eyes steady, open in a way that makes my pulse stutter. I won't use you, he says quietly. I won't cage you. And I won't ask you to stand beside me if it costs you your freedom. A beat. But if you choose to, I don't let him finish. The room melts away as heat spirals through me. Not sharp this time, not violent. Focused. Intent. I Choose, I say. The council explodes into protests, but they fade into noise. Ezra's attention locks on me, pupils dilating, breath catching. Louis, I know, I say softly. No weapons, no leverage, no hierarchy. I step closer, close enough that I can feel him without being swallowed by him. This isn't submission, I continue. And it isn't surrender. I reach up, fingers curling briefly into the fabric at his collar. His scent flares, but he doesn't push, doesn't pull. Consent holds. I let my pheromones rise, not wild, not uncontrolled. I guide them the way I learned in the ritual hall, the way instinct finally listens when you stop fighting it. Connection blooms between us, warm and alive. Ezra stiffens, not in dominance, not in command, but in recognition. Yes, he breathes. The mark settles between us like a shared breath. Not a brand, not a leash. A bond that doesn't pull one way. The council falls silent. They feel it. An omega who marks by invitation. An alpha who accepts without claiming. Impossible and irreversible. Ezra swallows, forehead dropping briefly to mine. Just for a second. Just enough. You're sure? He asks quietly. For the first time in my life, I say, voice steady despite the tremor underneath. I am. He turns back to the council, something unbreakable settling into his posture. This bond isn't yours to control, he says. Neither of us are. The elders stare, finally understanding. They didn't just lose an asset. They lost the system. And as Ezra's hand closes around mine, equal pressure, equal weight, I understand what this really is. Not love as obedience, not power as possession, but love as a choice. And God's help anyone who still thinks I don't know how to make my own. Revolutions are quieter than people expect. They don't sound like shouting or gunfire. They sound like doors closing, like footsteps walking away, like a building exhaling once it realizes it won't be held together by fear anymore. The old council dissolves in a series of very polite disasters. Some leave in outrage, muttering about tradition and decay. Others stay, stiff-backed and cautious, trying to learn how to breathe without permission. Ezra doesn't reclaim his title. That's the part that confuses them most. Instead, the clan reorganizes. Committees where orders used to be, discussions where commands once lived. Messy, inefficient, alive. I sit in on meetings I'm technically not supposed to be part of. No one stops me. Someone actually asks my opinion once. I laugh so hard I choke on my coffee. Is he always like this? One of the younger alphas asks Ezra, glancing our way. Only when he's awake. Ezra replies without missing a beat. The bond between us settles into something steady. Not loud, not performative. A constant awareness, like knowing where someone is in a crowded room without looking. People adjust, some faster than others. The staff stop flinching when I enter. One woman even snaps at me for tracking dirt across a polished floor. I grin. Progress. My room stays my own. No scent mark across the doorway. No restrictions. Ezra knocks before entering. And gods, that still hits me sideways some days. We argue about stupid things, where to keep files, whether combat drills should include coffee breaks. He's infuriatingly reasonable. I'm deliberately not. One afternoon I catch him smiling during a meeting. At me. I raise an eyebrow. He looks away, nearly losing an argument about resource distribution. Worth it. People leave, yes. The ones who needed control more than community. The ones who mistook obedience for loyalty. Good riddance. I stop being introduced as the Omega. I'm Louis. Just Louis. The one who rewrote a few assumptions and refuses to apologize for it. Does it bother you? I ask Ezra one night, as we watch the city lights pulse below, that they don't bow anymore? He considers, no. Does it bother you that they don't fear you? I think about it, about the old arena, about silence falling when I walked into a room. No, I say. Feels lighter this way. He smiles. That's when I realize something strange. For the first time, my blood doesn't feel like a warning label. It feels like history. Still powerful, still dangerous in the wrong hands, but finally under my control. If this is what a new hierarchy looks like, yeah, I think I can live with it. The new arena smells different. Clean, metal, fresh paint, ozone from the lighting rigs instead of mold and desperation. The floor still bears scars. This is a place for violence after all. But none of them were earned in the dark. It's legal now. Regulated. Monitored. A place where people choose to fight, not because they've run out of options, but because they want to test themselves. I sit in the front row with my arms crossed, boots hooked together, watching two fighters circle each other. Me watching a fight instead of bleeding in it still feels illegal. One of them's overextending, I murmur. Beside me, Ezra hums. You're impossible. I'm correct. The crowd roars as the taller alpha makes a mistake. Too aggressive, too certain. The smaller one ducks and counters cleanly. The bell rings moments later. I don't feel the old itch. No hunger. No restless fire under my skin demanding impact. Just interest. Mira leans over the barrier, clipboard tucked under her arm. She catches my eye and smiles. The kind of smile that says you made it out alive, and that still amazes me. You look bored, she says. Relaxed, I correct. It's new. I'm trying it out. She snorts. You could still fight. If you wanted. I know. That's the difference. Ezra shifts closer. Not looming, not protective. Just close enough that our shoulders touch. A quiet, steady presence. Equal weight. You're thinking too loudly, he says. I was thinking I like the view, I reply. He glances at the arena. The fighters? I smirk. You wish. He laughs under his breath. Soft and real. The sound still gets me every time. The match ends. Applause swells. Unforced. Genuine. No fear riding the noise. No obligation. For a moment, I let myself remember the old arena. The concrete. The blood. The way my life used to narrow down to survive or die. Then I look at what replaced it. People move freely. Staff argue about logistics. Someone spills a drink and apologizes without flinching. No one bows. No one kneels. Ezra nudges my knee with his own. You ever miss it? I consider the question, honestly. The fighting? I ask. The simplicity. I watch the fighters leave the ring, laughing and bruised and alive. No, I say. Turns out pain was just loud enough to drown out choice. I don't miss that. He studies me for a second, then nods. Good. He understands. As the lights dim and the crowd filters out, I stay seated a little longer, breathing in the air of a place that didn't ask me to break myself to belong. They told me my blood was bad, dangerous, unstable, something that needed to be controlled. Maybe it was, but I finally understand what that means. Bad blood doesn't make monsters. It makes people who refuse to kneel. And this time, I'm standing exactly where I choose to be.